What's up, everybody? Thanks for tuning in to episode 8 of A Rock in a High Place, the podcast where dreams become reality, and I have a lot of stress dreams. As always, thank you for putting aside a few minutes of your day to get high, unwind, and listen to me talk about another aspect of growing up blackety black black. Every last one of us here at A Rock in a High Place is dedicated to making this podcast as open to the community as possible. That being said, if you would like to hear my thoughts on any topic or issue, please send me a message to any of my social media accounts, and I'll make sure to include the topic in one of our future episodes. Today I'm going to be talking about growing up with white friends and realizing when I was one of their friends and when I was one of their black friends. If you haven't supported any of your black creative peers this week, here is your reminder to do so. Buy their art, listen to their music, support their work, and let them know you're listening. I know firsthand what a difference that action can make. All right, I am going to wait for the rest of this edible to kick in, and when it does, we are going to hop right into episode 8 of A Rock in a High Place. All right, y'all, I am baked on baked goods and ready to pour my heart out, so let's get right into episode 8, More Than Friends. Until a couple months ago, I lived my whole life in Amherst, a white liberal community where proclaiming colorblindness and latching on to a black person for any form of validation go hand in hand. In my last episode, I spoke on how growing up I had trouble connecting with my black peers because I unfairly categorized them. I didn't really have that with my white peers, mostly because media had shown me that unlike black people, white people were fully diverse and had unique personalities and views of looking at the world. I know, pretty fucked up. But there I was, light-skinned and looking to make as many white friends as possible. I was pretty good at it too. Not great, but pretty good. I got invited to my fair share of parties and sleepovers, even a few bar mitzvahs, which was the place to be for hormone-fueled 13-year-olds. It was around middle school that I realized that at all of these parties, I was the only black person there. Strangely enough, sometimes I didn't seem to care at all, and other times it was all I could think about. I figured I was just overthinking it. After all, we've been learning more and more about discrimination and prejudice in school, so I figured I was just being hyper-aware. So to make up for my own discomfort, I started joking about it. They weren't funny jokes usually. In my defense, I was only 13. But by my white peers' reactions, I could really tell who was my friend deep down and who just thought I made their friend group look more diverse. It wasn't a matter of if they laughed or not, or even if they were comfortable making race jokes too. It was more of a gut feeling. There were times I'd make a joke about my race and suddenly the air would just leave the room, as if I'd suddenly popped this protective bubble we'd all been living in. Or more accurately, as if I'd just popped the balloon I'd slowly been choking inside until I could finally address my blackness to a room full of white kids. That type of uncertainty, as if I just jumped into water without knowing the depth, made it clear to me that some of these kids were just not friends I wanted to have. I knew what was going on in their minds. Their entire lives they had been taught not to address race and pretend like it wasn't there at all. Then, later in life, they had been told that diversity was a necessity for their friend group, otherwise they would be portrayed as a racist. So now they're battling these ideologies of how to be friends with a black person, and it's all very stressful to them, but it's also not at all my fucking problem. And as soon as I realized that, I began to separate myself from any white person who gave me that gut feeling like I was a tool to be used to help them become comfortable with their own supremacism. There wasn't any phrase or specific way of speaking to me that made it clear, so I'm not here to tell my white listeners how to not ostracize your black friends. This isn't a guidebook. But I will say, the white friends that I'm still very close to acknowledge my blackness, make a space for it, and don't force me to fill that space if I don't want to. I still make black jokes all the time to my white friends, and sometimes they laugh, sometimes they don't. I don't really care, to be honest. Those jokes are for me. They help me express a big part of who I am, and I no longer feel like I'm bursting someone's colorblind bubble, because I make my white friends see all of me. I may be their black friend, but I will never again be the black friend. So, pack a bowl and think about whether your black friends are really comfortable being black around you. And if they aren't, ask yourself, are they really your friend? Or are they just your honorary black friend? Thank you for listening, and I'll talk to you all next week.